Relax, sit back as we fill your mind with spooky true crime stories of the deranged, unhinged, and absolute pure evil murders that will blow your mind. Some places we will visit to show you around and educate you on the history. Other times we will bring you to the paranormal because the dead never lie silent for too long.
Be the last time anybody sees us alive. I don't know where she has us, but we're gonna get fucking killed.
Hello? Gina, there is a beehive over there. Do you see that in the hole?
Buckle up, Buttercup.
Welcome to 50 States of Madness.
Welcome to 50 States of Madness.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Doing really well. Had a pretty exciting week this week. A lot of things happening in the true crime world
Yeah.
and background, but you know, that's for another day and time.
Yeah,
But
definitely. I want to do I should ask me, I'm gonna do a poll. Remember we covered the case on Jennifer Dulos and Michelle Troconis was, I believe, the mistress. I believe something has happened in that case just recently. Remember, he's the one that was driving down the street, dumping the clothes in the trash cans. It caught the car driving down the street on video, and she's the one, she was with him, but she claims like, oh, I didn't know what he was doing, but she was in the truck with him.
I don't remember a lot about the mistress.
Name, I believe, is Michelle Troconis. Believe she has just recently been charged with something or like as an accessory. Don't quote me. I just literally saw something.
So we'll have to do an update on that one. All right.
Yeah, so we need to do an update on that one. So welcome to all of we have a lot of new subscribers. A lot of people came over from Sawoki.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so welcome to our madness.
Yes.
Today we're going to do a story on a gentleman named Steven Koecher. And this was requested by Reese. Sorry if I got it wrong, but that's her name on YouTube. She actually requested us to do 3 different ones, and I chose this one.
I had never heard of this one. Gina's the one who did the research on this.
I got pretty sucked into this one pretty quickly, and I know that there have been other people that have DM'd us on Instagram that have requested other cases, so we will get to those too.
So Steven was born on November 1st, 1979. He was the second oldest of 5 children. He came from a family that was very close. Everyone described him as very fun-loving and kind. He had a degree in communications from the University of Utah and was following his father's footsteps, who was an editor. Steven disappeared on December 13, 2009, and he was only 30 years old. He had been struggling around the time of his disappearance. Wanting a change of weather and scenery, he left his job at the Salt Lake Tribune and moved 5 hours south of his parents' home in Salt Lake City, Utah, to St. George. They were not happy with his decision to move because they knew he needed help financially. His parents and grandparents had tried to give him money to help him, but he never would accept the help. He always wanted to figure it out on his own. In April 2009, Steven finds a room for rent in a home that he shares with a roommate that he described as crazy. The two had very different lifestyles. Steven was a devout Mormon, didn't drink alcohol or coffee. His roommate, on the other hand, did. Although they led different lives, Steven still tried to befriend him, inviting him to different church and sporting activities, which he did on a few occasions attend. Steven became involved in something called the Ward through his church, which is a community where you can develop friendships and support church members in their many journeys. Although he was happy with all of this, he still felt like he was missing something in his personal life. He had been dating a girl for a while, but chose to break it off with her because she wasn't as involved in the church as he would have liked her to be. In the fall of 2009, Steven got a part-time job working for a window washing company, doing marketing. Although he was happy about the job, it wasn't enough to cover his rent and bills. On December 9th, Steven's father, Rolf?
It's Rolf, yeah.
Rolf, R-O-L-F, got a phone call from his landlord saying that Steven was behind about 2.5 months on his rent. Rolf called Steven and again offered to help him catch up with his rent, and Steven refused to take the help and then hung up the phone. The next day, his father got a text message from Steven that said, "Hi, Dad, I'm okay," saying that he appreciated the help, but he wanted to do this on his own. He then calls his mom to discuss holiday plans with the family. His mom said during this conversation, Steven sounded very upbeat and happy. He told them he would have to work up until December 23rd and would be off work after that for the holidays. On December 17th, Steven's mother, Deanne, got a message from the police department in Henderson, Nevada, 2 hours from his home in St. George, Utah, and 20 minutes from Las Vegas, saying his car had been picked up on December 13th. The parking enforcement had seen his car, I guess, parked in a cul-de-sac. So they found out that Steven's car was abandoned and it was there for 4 days. His parents tried calling him, but were unable to get in touch with him. They always were on the same cell phone plan and tried to track the phone's whereabouts, but they were unable to do this due to the phone not being charged. His mother, Deanne, said that she felt like life had just got to be too much for him and he took off into the desert and something like that. And something happened to him. His parents then called the police in St. George, Utah, where Steven was living at the time. They assigned a detective to the case and also filed a missing persons report. So at that point, his mom had thought maybe he was just going to hike out there, take a walk, clear his brain because of everything that was going on.
I don't know if she thought that he was gonna go out there to like clear his mind, or if she thought that he was like gonna move somewhere and like start a new life somewhere, like just get away from. I don't know. This information that I got, there's a show called Disappeared.
Oh, yes.
So I watched that, and then I listened to a podcast. I believe it's called Unfound. Yeah, I believe it's called Unfound. There is a YouTube channel, and I'll get to that at the very end. That's done
Perfect.
a lot of research.
So on December 18th, Steven's father, Rolf, went to his house that he shared with a roommate. His father had a spare key to the house and he let himself in. The roommate was not home at this time. When he went into Steven's room, he found everything to be in place. His bed was made, his laptop was there, and even his cell phone charger was in there, leading him to believe that Steven didn't have plans of being gone for too long. The one thing that they weren't able to find was his passport. He had asked his dad for it when he had applied for his job. His dad and two of his brothers drove to Henderson to pick up Steven's car. When they got there, they saw that it was parked on a cul-de-sac in a retirement community that was for people 55 and older, and the community was pretty far from the main road. His dad said that the car started up right away and also had a half a tank of gas. He thought maybe the car had been stolen and dumped there. He immediately called out to the Henderson Police Department, who spent hours investigating the car and the scene. Because Henderson is so close to Las Vegas, the detectives are used to dealing with missing persons cases. Roughly 2,500 people go missing from Las Vegas every year.
Isn't that crazy?
That's insane.
Huge.
And I love Las Vegas, but that's a scary statistic. And I'm hoping it's because people go there to, I don't know, to disappear maybe, or start a new life.
Yeah, I mean, disappear, when you think of like somebody disappeared, you automatically think foul play.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times people just want to disappear, like get away and be away by themselves and not, be surrounded by the people that they have. So
yeah,
I don't know, but that still is a very scary number.
That's high.
For this.
Wow, that police department's busy. But I like that though, because they take it seriously. It's not no messing around with that. They're like, okay,
Right.
you might be missing, let's look into this. Because of the lifestyle that Steven led, his father was having a hard time believing that he would have been caught up in drugs or anything of that nature, which is what the police were alluding to, which I don't think so either. I mean, it seemed like he had a very strong faith. On the dashboard of Steven's car, they found flyers for the window washing company that he worked for, and they thought maybe he was in the area passing them out. In the car, there were receipts for food and gas, a coat, a pillow, and a blanket.
They found that a jacket, a pillow, and a blanket in the back seat. They think at some point he maybe pulled over and slept
Yeah.
there.
It's not unusual for people who live in those places that have far distances, or they can get caught on the side of the road
Yeah.
in snow, like Utah and stuff, because you never know, like when the road might close. I mean, it's only a
Absolutely.
two-way. You know, there's a big accident on the highway, you're stuck in that for hours, you never
Yeah.
know. So it's
Yeah.
always good to have that stuff in the car anyways. Always carry water.
My daughter used to carry a pillow and a blanket in her car because at the university she went to, you couldn't find parking. So she would have to get to school early. So she would sleep in the car for 2 hours before her class even started just so she could get a parking spot.
Parking
So
spot. So in the back seat, they found a bag from Kmart with Christmas cookies in it and a baby bib, which might have been a Christmas present for a family member. This led them to believe that Stephen had every intention of coming home for Christmas. In the trunk of the car, they found dozens of job applications that Stephen had filled out over the last few months, searching to get a job. The police didn't suspect any foul play after going through the car and decided not to call forensics to investigate the car. The police believed that Stephen went off with some friends for a few days to get away and he would return. The family, however, didn't feel that this was the case. So for the week following Stephen's disappearance, the family didn't get much help from the police or the media. They decided to go to Henderson and start investigating themselves. They went to one of the residents' homes that lived on the cul-de-sac. When speaking to them, they told them that they had cameras and that maybe it might have captured something. This would take a few days to get the footage pulled, and Rolf's brother-in-law hired a private detective. In the meantime, they searched shelters, hospitals, and anywhere they can think of for Stephen. Stephen's mom, Deanne, was sorting through his cell phone activity. She started to realize that she didn't even know who his friends were and that she didn't know very much about his life. She found that the last people to speak to Stephen were two people from his church. They both called him on Sunday morning, the same morning he went missing, one around 8 a.m. and one around 10 a.m. They both said when they called him, he had told them he was in Las Vegas, but he never told them why. They believe that's
they said like he wasn't trying to hide the fact that he was there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't like he was trying to keep it quiet that he had left. Like he just said nonchalantly, like, "Oh, I'm in Las Vegas."
Oh, okay.
So
So he had told us a couple friends he was there.
yeah.
His mother then checked his bank activity and found that there had not been any activity on his account since the day he went missing. Stephen's older brother was able to get into his Yahoo account and found that there were multiple job applications and rejections, but nothing else. His mom kept hope alive that Stephen would be home for Christmas on December 23rd, but that day came and went with no signs of him. That's
Yeah, so originally, like before, when his mom had talked to him right before, prior to him going missing, and they spoke, and she said, he was upbeat, he sounded good, but he had to work up until that day, and then after the 23rd, he would be home for the holidays, and they could celebrate Christmas. I think she's holding out hope at this point that
He's
just
gonna
run
come
off for a little bit and give his brain time to settle, and then he's gonna just come back, and he just needed to turn off for a little bit, which I feel like a lot of people have to do,
Yes.
especially these days. You have to just
Oh,
take a step back and
just
you know,
disconnect.
yeah, 100%. So after Christmas, the private investigator contacted the family to tell them that they were able to analyze the video and caught someone on the video walking away from Stephen's car. On the video, you see his car drive by and then park on the cul-de-sac. He stays in his car for about 6 minutes. He then gets out and walks down the street past the camera. It looks like he was holding a folder in his hand, like he might be going to a job or something of the sort. The video is in black and white and it's a little grainy, but the family does believe that it was Stephen in the video. They were watching like his gait, the way he walked, and they were like pretty certain, almost 100% that it was him. It's unclear if he kept walking up the street or if he got into another car because he kind of goes off like out of camera, the view. So a few weeks later, a family member had the idea to put Steven's picture on milk cartons, which I thought, you know, you hear about stuff like that, but that it was a genius idea. And they did. They put them.
Yeah, I just didn't know that it was, you can do that quickly. Like, what's the turnaround time in doing something like that? I was a
I
little
don't know.
Yeah, like you
Yeah.
can do that right away.
Yeah. So after his family did this, it moved the police to take this case to another level. So I think that until the family made that move, that the police were just still kind of viewing it as like he's gonna come back.
Yeah, they were giving it time.
Not, yeah. So they assigned a new detective to the case, and he went door to door in the neighborhood, and nobody had said that they had saw Steven. The authorities then decided to get helicopters and ATVs out in the area to look for him. On December 30th, the authorities held a massive 4-day search for Steven, but nothing was found. They had a bunch of people come out. They all were out on ATVs looking, you know, for anything. So Steven's cousin set up a Facebook page. There were multiple people who said that they saw Steven at a bus stop on the day he went missing. The authorities also found that someone had used Steven's cell phone to check his voicemail the day after he went missing at 6:04 a.m. The police said that it is a possibility that if he came in contact with someone that hurt him, the person could have taken his phone and checked the messages.
Oh,
So, yeah, so they're maybe thinking that somebody was just checking to see if somebody had reported him missing, or if anybody was looking for him, if anybody had left him a message of this, anything of the sort.
so they
So then
don't, they can't, they don't know if it was him or if it was somebody
no,
else.
because
They're
it's just, you're not, when you call for your voicemail, it's just kind of like you're calling your own phone.
not. Okay.
You know what I mean? Like it just
But
on the,
but you would have to know the code in order to listen
but
to.
he might not have had a code.
Oh, you don't need a code? Oh,
I don't need a code for my phone.
well, I need a code to open up my phone though.
We're in 2009 and he had a flip phone.
Oh, okay, got it, got it. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
take it back.
Then the police are contacted by a man named Steven Powell from Washington State. Steven's son, Joshua Powell, has a wife, Susan, who went missing in West Valley City, Utah on December 6th, which is exactly a week before
Around the
he
same
was
time,
missing.
yeah.
The Powells thought that maybe these two cases were linked in some way. Their thought was that Steven and Susan ran away together out of the country. Steven had at one time lived in Brazil and spoke fluent Portuguese. They believed that this was true because his passport was missing. If you remember, that was the one thing that they couldn't find of his when they searched his
Yeah,
bedroom,
that it
was
was
his
gone.
passport. Yeah. So the police looked into flights and found no evidence that Steven had left the country. They also didn't find any calls or emails between the two of them. Police departments in both cases got together to discuss the timelines and if there are any links between the two. They both believe that the two cases had no ties to each other, both police departments. This theory is completely then shut down after a second search of Steven's room uncovers his missing passport. So they finally find his passport in his bedroom after looking deeper into things. So the police then started to go through some receipts from 3 days prior to Steven's disappearances. The food and gas receipts show that he traveled over 1,000 miles through the Salt Lake City area and to northern Nevada, and then back to St. George, Utah, all within 14 hours. So this guy was just
Driving.
all of this was done on December 10th. So he's just driving, like aimlessly driving. So in some of the cities he stopped in within Nevada were legal gambling areas. So the places in the cities that they found gas receipts and stuff like that were all cities that gambling was legal. They thought that maybe he was trying to make money gambling or was involved in selling or transporting drugs. Because again, remember, he was having financial issues and they think that maybe he got caught up in something like that because he didn't want to help get money from his family. His family would write him checks and he would never cash them. So he was kind of determined to do all of this on his own. Then they started to think about Steven's roommate, who in 2007, two years prior to his disappearance, was convicted for having a controlled substance. So maybe he was desperate for money, that he was traveling and delivering drugs for his roommate. So Steven's father then contacted the police and asked if they could bring dogs to search Steven's car for drugs. When they did, there were no signs that there were ever drugs in the car. Then they interviewed his roommate, and he said that he never involved Steven in anything of the sort. He said that him and Steven were complete opposites, but they were good friends, and he really enjoyed having him as a roommate. So according to this, he found it nice to have somebody as a roommate and a friend that was a complete polar opposite of him, and that he, it said that he did attend church functions with him sometimes, so he would never have exposed him to that.
Yeah, and I just didn't get that from the pictures I saw of him and stuff. I know
Right.
it doesn't say a lot, but still.
Yeah. So then on his cousin's website, an ex-girlfriend of Steven's was able to explain why he traveled to Northern Nevada. She said that he drove to Ruby Valley to visit her parents. Steven's father thinks that he thought his ex-girlfriend was going to be there, however, she wasn't. So his parents were a little confused about the trip because she was not a serious girlfriend. But according to Deanne, Steven's mother, he really liked her and thought she was a wonderful girl, and he enjoyed going to visit her family's farm. I don't believe they were together for a very long time. So I think that's why they're saying like he really liked her, that maybe he went to visit her hoping she was going to be there. By April of 2010, the family felt like they had hit a wall and didn't know what to do next. This is 4 months later. Then a private detective and retired police officer reached out to the family and said he had been reading about Steven's case and offered to help them pro bono, no charge. After watching the video of Steven, he believes that Steven was walking to an appointment and was purposely led to danger. He believes that Steven never made it out of that neighborhood. After talking with the family, his parents agreed. They believe that he was, for some reason, lured there. Then they got an anonymous tip that Steven's remains might be in the desert south of Vegas, near the Henderson Executive Airport. So on April 10th, 2010, they organized a search with over 70 people showing up to help. In searching, they found the remains of a tent that looked like it had been out there for a few months. However, DNA testing failed to link it to Steven. They also found bones, but turned out to be animal bones. Unfortunately, nothing else came of that search. His family now believes that he went somewhere and something went terribly wrong. Shortly after this show was filmed, his father unfortunately passed away after a brief illness that may have been toxic shock syndrome. So in December of 2022, pretty recently.
Oh, just recently.
A neighbor in the area of where Steven left his car came forward. He said, "I need money," is what the neighbor remembers him saying to them after he opened the door. At the time of his disappearance, Steven was 3 months or $1,500 behind in his rent. Money from his family meant to help pay the rent went undeposited. Like I said, they would write him checks and give him checks. His grandmother tried to give him money. His father, he would never cash the checks.
But then it doesn't make sense that he'd be going to a stranger's house to ask for money
I need
if he
money,
wasn't
exactly.
even taking money from his family. That doesn't make
Right.
sense.
So on the day of his disappearance, records show he was in Las Vegas Valley for several hours before ultimately parking his car at the end of Savannah Springs Avenue and walking towards his destination, which is unknown. "I didn't see him coming out from the car," the neighbor said. "In those 6 minutes between the time he parked his car and he appears on the video walking out of view, he rang the neighbor's doorbell. By the time the neighbor got to the door, Steven was walking onto the other side of the street. 'I need money,' the neighbor said he remembered Steven saying. There's no walkway on the other side of the road, but he was walking on that side that doesn't have the walkway. I just shut the door, and that's the last that I saw of him." The private investigators believe Steven's conversation with the neighbor may have led to a fatal mistake. A police report indicates officers interviewed one neighbor after his disappearance. Police officers said the neighbor appeared nervous when contacted and while being questioned about Steven's disappearance. The person said they did not recognize him and no friends and did not trust anybody due to the drug lifestyle that people tend to have. So that's what this neighbor is saying, that the reason that they didn't want to talk to him is because they don't trust people in the area. There's too much riffraff, whatever going around. Police have not named that person as a suspect, nor have officers charged him or her with any crime. Another neighbor told police shortly after Steven's disappearance that another neighbor moved out of the neighborhood on the same day he went missing. When police attempted to talk to the resident, they noticed that there was no furniture in the house. The police investigators also obtained photos from a home in the neighborhood taken shortly after his disappearance, which showed several holes in the walls and other damage. It is the same property the men suspect Steven was heading in those last moments caught on video. Because he disappeared so many years ago, many of the neighbors who owned homes and who spoke to police in those days and months after his disappearance are no longer there, which we run into multiple times, that like once they get around to investigating a case, people have passed away, they don't live there anymore, evidence is gone. So one day after video captured what are believed to be Steven's final moments alive, someone called his voicemail box from his cell phone. Records showed the cell phone signal then continued to ping off a tower near US 95 and Russell Road for 3 days until the device died. So when that person, whoever, if it was Steven or somebody else, when they called to check his voicemail the day after he went missing, his phone continued to ping in that same area for 3 days. That's where his phone never left that area. And then it died and they couldn't track it anymore.
So I'm going to do a Google drop on US 95 and Russell Road to see,
Well,
did they search?
let me finish.
I'm already investigating. Never mind. I'm on my way. Boots on the ground. Let's go. Taking a trip out to Henderson.
Yeah.
I'm already in the car. Sorry, Gina. Don't finish the story.
So both St. George Police and Henderson Police are still actively investigating the case. Neither department has arrested anyone, nor has either department filed charges or named any persons of interest in the disappearance. The private investigators suspect Steven is deceased and buried in the Las Vegas Valley. I decided to maybe go a little deeper and go down the Reddit rabbit hole, which brought me to a YouTube channel from a gentleman named Arrin Stoner. It's Arrin. So this gentleman has done 13 videos on this case.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
So his first, I did not watch all 13 videos. I did not even come close to watching all 13 videos. Basically, he has investigated this case from top to bottom. He went to the area where Steven was, and he did a complete search of the area of where that cell phone pinged, hoping to find the phone, even after all these years later.
Yes.
He found nothing. But he has made multiple discoveries, and just in the short videos that I watched, one of the things that stood out to me was, if you remember when they searched Steven's car, they found flyers for this window washing company that he worked for.
Yeah.
And they said that, when he was caught on video walking, that he had a folder in his hand and that maybe he was out there, trying to get, market out there, whatever. This Arrin Stoner man, he interviewed the person that Steven worked for, who owned this window washing business, and they did not service that area. So that would not have been a reason for him to be there. So to me, that says it's not work related.
Yeah.
He has also interviewed the roommate. He has interviewed the owner of the company. This guy has interviewed multiple people. So when they talk about the houses that they believe that Steven knocked on the door, that family's name is the DiMaggios. And he kind of believes that they, I believe, are involved in this. like I said, I did not watch a lot of his videos, so I'm not gonna try to regurgitate
Yeah.
something that I didn't watch. If you want that information, I would tell you go watch his channel, go give him a view and check his channel out.
So if anybody knows anything about the case,
Yeah.
there is the Crime Stoppers number 702-385-5555, or you can go to Crime Stoppers of Envy for Nevada.com/report-a-crime. And we'll have those links up for everybody just to give the family some closure to this. We say this all the time. I know we do, and we're going to sound like a broken record, but we would be devastated if this happened to any of our children, if we had no
Yeah,
idea
absolutely.
where they at.
And I don't know this woman who requested this. I don't know if you wanted us to like
Deep dive.
deep dive into this case like this gentleman did. And I don't know if you have listened to his channel. If that's something that you want us to do, let us know, but that's going to take quite a while because
So
there's a lot of information out there.
yeah, I have a lot of
A lot of
questions, lots and lots of questions, and lots of theories, and lots of things go through my brain, and it's always working, and I'm trying to figure it out right now as we speak in my brain. I'm like, what is the area?
I don't really know if I have like a theory in my head of what I think happened.
Why he would drive down to Las Vegas, 2 hours south of St. George?
Maybe he did get caught up in something.
I mean, it could be, but oh gosh, I hope not. He just,
Yeah, I don't know.
people, desperate times call for desperate measures, who knows?
Yeah, and not wanting to be a burden on his family. But I am pretty convinced that he didn't do anything to himself purposefully because, like, when his mom had talked to him, he sounded like he was planning on spending holidays. He had presents in his backseat, which he came from a huge family, like lots of nieces and nephews. And they were saying that was probably all he could afford at that time was a bib and some cookies. And again, like not having a cell phone charger, not having his laptop, not having, like if you're going to take off, I feel like you're going to take most of those things with you.
Everything with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
There are some podcasts out there that I found. I haven't listened to them all, but it was very interesting. So if you have any information, please comment, let us know. So that was our story for this week.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us again this week.
Yeah, thank you very much. We're going to try to get our Facebook going too. I think I might just start a new one. I know a lot of people, I don't have a Facebook, but I know a lot of people have Facebook. So in the next few weeks, we'll try to get that situated. But right now, for the time, we have TikTok, we have Instagram, all at 50 States of Madness. Our merch store is 50statesofmadness.bigcartel.com. I think that's it.
That's it. Thank you so much for joining us this week. And there, have a good one, you guys.
Bye.
Bye.